Can anyone hear me? I'm coming back in. Any audio more?
Yep, we can still hear you.
Can you hear me?
Yep.
Oh, fucking A.
Yep.
Beautiful. I apologize.
Third time's the charm.
Yo, can you turn your phone to landscape for me, please?
Okay, how do I do that?
Just turn it sideways. It makes the video look better.
Okay.
Here we go. Yo, thank you. Thank you so much. Yo, I want to thank everyone for bearing with me. I'm sorry. I apparently having some technical difficulties.
Yeah, and it's still breaking up on your part a lot.
Wow. No shit. Okay. Well, Lou,
I can
said your audio is.
I can make out what you're saying for the most part, though.
Okay. I'm gonna speak slowly then. Maybe that will help. I'm gonna turn that up a little. But Lou Rinaldi said my audio is scratchy, but we can hear you.
Nice, and I'm clear to you.
Yo, and more before we get going on anything serious, I was hoping that maybe you would do. I'd like to do this bit that I call the 5-minute life story. Would you be willing to share your 5-minute life story with us?
Yeah. Tell me when the clock hits.
You can actually take a lot more time because I actually thought that your backstory was fascinating, and I'd really love to hear all of it.
So I guess I'll start from the self-proclaimed child soldier in the war on drugs. Just growing up, seeing police every day, seeing my friends, getting to mess with police every day. My first encounter with police was at 14. Well, my first arrest was at 14, but like just being a child, even before a teenager, seeing police coming and beating people up, and my friends all catching serious charges at 12 years old and stuff. So that's my origin. My father was the first black cop where I grew up at. So by the time I was born, though, he wasn't a cop. He actually got shot in the head, bullet fragment hit him in the head, and he had to get a metal plate in his head, and after that he retired. So, from that, my mother's a single mother, a hustler, grinder. My grandmother is from Harlem. My grandfather built a house in 1960 in Long Island, New York, that my mother still owns, and it's our family house. But the interesting thing about that is he bought it with prohibition liquor money. So that right there, I'm a star athlete all through school. I'm still an athlete, Freeport, New York, wrestling program out there. I'm an avid proponent of pushing people to do sports. I think that's one of the things that adds character, doing sports and such. So I ran out of New York as soon as I could. In 2000, I had so many cases from 1994 to 2000. I just was arrested a whole bunch of times in New York. A handful of those arrests were prohibition arrests. Like my first arrest was sale of a Schedule I drug to a minor, which was weed. And then I had a couple other cannabis, bulk possession and intent to sale charges and such. But I got out of New York. I went to Georgia, met my wife in Georgia, but just learning different things about myself. In New York, I was just kind of like a little terrorist, but I was actually an intellectual. You understand me? I love to learn and love to read, and I started learning reading and stuff, and sounding words out in books when I was 21 years old. But just getting into different things, like you mentioned, I did so from 2001 to 2010. I did security, loss prevention, and I dabbled in some private investigations. And I went to Gwinnett Tech for this was before Gwinnett Tech had their accreditation. I went through their criminal justice course and their private investigation course. And a friend of mine owned a loss prevention company at this church I went to. And he was like, hey, if you go through this course, you know, you can get more money. I was doing jobs for him. I was, sitting on sites and such. And in order to, get the loss prevention jobs, which were more money, and the private investigation jobs, which was just glorified security jobs, you had to go through, you go through stuff. So I got three more dollars an hour to do that. But I learned a lot. I learned about, investigations. I learned about, and I had been involved with the law since I was 14 years old, in and out of court, fighting for my life, fighting for my freedom. So I became familiar with the judicial system and became fascinated with studying law, and how that operated and such. And just for those 10 years, I wrote reports. You do nothing but write reports, and you have to be able to, write a report that's good enough for a jury or somebody to read it and such. So if you're a security guard, all security guards are pretty much trained on writing these reports and such. Met my wife 2003. We had a baby 2005. Just been an entrepreneur ever since. She was a teacher when I met her, and she's still a teacher, in her own right, but she still deals with education. I was working for Cobb County Water Systems, and so there was a little state job or whatever, and I was doing security, third shift, so anything about, if you know about Georgia, it's a red state, it's a right to work state. You understand me? So I was able to work as a subcontractor and stuff, doing security jobs and such. But that's the kind of thing. I guess that's a quick synopsis. I guess we can jump into my cannabis. I started guerrilla growing in 2008.
Could you tell us about the because I forgot to ask you about this on the phone, but could you tell us about the energy drinks, please?
Yeah. So I mean, dude, it's just an aspect of, it's just an extension of my lifestyle. I was fortunate enough, my brother, he's like a brother to me, my Colombian brother, from Freeport, New York, who we were on a wrestling team together, which we formed a brotherhood with all those guys who I was with. My brother Ricardo helped me develop this product. He's been developing supplement products for the last 20 years. And then so the energy shot is an extension of myself. He bought me his formula, his base formula. And so what we got is those plant-based amino acids in there. We got the caffeine, organic caffeine in there. We got the vitamin B3, B6, B12, which is paramount for everybody. And actually, if you're deficient in vitamin Bs, it acts like you go through a phase of depression, just because you're mineral deficient. So I like how this energy shot hits you mentally and physically. It's a 4 to 7 hour energy boost. Those amino acids actually prolong the caffeine. It's 100 milligrams of caffeine in there, so 5 hour energy drink, it has 200 milligrams of caffeine, but we were able to prolong the effect of the caffeine by introducing certain amino acids in there, plant-based amino acids. It's one of our babies, but we this is what it's all about, lifestyle brand, bringing that energetic thing to the cannabis industry, to dispel the myths of the lazy pothead.
I'm coming back. I'm still learning how to use the functionality of this. Yeah. And I was sad that I didn't ask you about that on the phone. You were talking about it, and I totally dropped the ball on that one. But
it's all good. It's all good.
Yeah, well, Shakti Green Lit, right? Or Green Light. I'm not
Shakti Green, Shakti Green Lit, and that's just my journey through Buddhism and through Hinduism, coming from a real violent type of past, just being able to make peace and getting into the feminine energy. The masculine energy is more violent and about taking over and aggression. So just inviting that feminine energy and giving more place to that feminine energy in my life through yoga, meditation, and such, Reiki.
Huh. Interesting. Yeah, and most of the best energy in my life has been feminine as well.
Nice. Yep. It's a fact. That's a fact, man. You want as much feminine energy around you as possible. It enhances your beauty as a man. To me being more of a manly man, my piercings and stuff was about enhancing the feminine energy in me, you know, and that enhances your beauty overall, you know, taking care of yourself and stuff, doing, you know, things that will be considered feminine practices, I guess, like, you know, bathing all the time and stuff, you know, you understand, being groomed and lotioned and, you know, manicuring and stuff. You know, as you get older, I try to do these things more so, you know.
Yeah, the women in my life take care of me. You know what I mean?
Facts, facts.
Yeah. So we did the 5-minute life story. More one of the things I want to ask you about is what happened at NECAN in Boston. And I was hoping that you would just lay that out for us.
Yeah, dude, man. It started out as a beautiful time. I just went, Canada Management just had an event across the street. I was over there hanging out with them, making some really cool connections in the cannabis industry. Walked across the street, you know, my friend, highly respected colleague, attorney Cheryl M. Powell, she was hosting an event called Legacy to Legal. And man, she has a lot of respect for me, and I have a lot of respect for her. So I went to an event. I was kind of going to, my wife and I had decided not to do NECAN this year because just because Grant, who had been an antagonist for us for three plus years, had been rewarded there. So, and I did an event last year at NECAN. I talked about subtle body energy and a whole bunch of other things dealing with the chakras and stuff like that, just on my healing journey. So we just kind of decided to acquiesce. Nothing against Mark or the people at NECAN. It wasn't, you know, we just decided not to go. My good friend of mine, Cheryl, was hosting an event. So I was like, yo, I'll go check you out. And so I come up the escalator, I meet Cheryl. She's like, yeah, Maur, I have to go here. Could you lead me? So I'm like, yeah, I'll lead you. So we actually go the wrong way. You know, I take it the wrong way. We go up the escalator. And she's like, oh, no, I think it's downstairs. We go to the wrong room. We end up coming back down the escalator. And that's where you see me on the clip coming down the escalator. And we start walking to her event. And then that's when you call my name.
Sorry to interrupt you, but for people that don't know, could you tell them what NECAN is and how you ended up there, please?
Man, NECAN is a cannabis event that has been going on for years, dude. If you're a pothead or a cannabis connoisseur or in the business of cannabis in Massachusetts, it's kind of like something that's been around for a while. They've gotten some recent success and they've been able to expand into other states and stuff. But it's mostly a B2B event where, you know, you go and host your stuff. The community also comes through, so it's not exclusive B2B. Yeah, it's a real cool event. They have different subjects, different subject matters, and they have these breakout sessions. So Cheryl, attorney Cheryl M. Powell, she was teaching one of these breakout sessions, and I was going as a guest of hers. And my wife was actually on the way up there too. Yeah.
So your wife was coming up too.
Yeah. I'm glad she wasn't there. Wow. It was horrific. It was just a horrific thing. You know, people like to think maybe because I'm a fighter, you know, because I came out looking better than my attackers, that was okay, and it wasn't okay. You know, I didn't want to fight. You know, I expressed that.
Tell us what happened, because I watched the video, and it seemed to me like, you know, that dude would put his hands on you first, and that you were just protecting yourself. But I'd like to hear your account of what happened at NECAN.
And maybe some people don't have that full perception that you have because they actually haven't seen the full video. The full video will show where are Harry and David and his entourage, those collective, where are they coming from? Where did they see me from? Because on the video it's sped up. You know, they called my name and I turned around. I didn't think it was an enemy. I didn't think I had anybody who would want to put their hands on me or even didn't like me enough that much to call me from such a far place away. I thought it was somebody I knew. So I waited, and you know, as he got closer, I was like, yeah, I didn't recognize Harry. He had a beard and everything. He was like, yeah, remember me, pussy? And I'm like, Harry? He's like, yeah, what now? I'm like, what? Like, I'm with Cheryl. I'm in a big event. There's cameras everywhere. Like I just told you, I spent years doing loss prevention, working CCTV, working cameras. I know there's cameras everywhere, dude. So I'm like, oh, get the fuck out of here. And I know they probably got audio also. You know, you had 2 responding officers there. Where's your audio? So people can hear how they were talking and threatening my life. But anyway, yeah, you know, he walks up to me, bumps me, bumps me a couple times. Anybody who knows me, you know, I'm a fighter. I've been fighting my entire life, dude. Real fighting.
You look like the wrong guy to bump.
Man, but some people might not see that. Some people might not see it like that. I don't try to go around being a tough guy. Like, you know, I come from, like I said, a lot of violence. So my whole projection is peace as much as possible. And I even, you know, I even put this on my own self and what I'm projecting and what I'm putting out there into the universe to attract this type of energy. But, you know, you want something and you desire something, but you never know the road to get it. And I was in the illicit market, and I risked my freedom to be in that market. You know, I was robbed, I was held hostage. You understand me? People, you know, I was beat up. You understand me, in the illicit market, and I still kept on continuing to go. And so in the legal market, I don't feel like you should have to go through this, but it's not going to deter me. You know, it's not going to deter me at all. And these people have tons of crash dummies they can send my way. You know, Harry and David was just, you know, one of them, one group of them. You know, but it can come from anywhere. Like sources told me, an individual who's actually going to actually write a statement for me told me that they paid a woman to attack my wife. So who knows how deep this rabbit hole goes? But people are coming.
Even your wife has been sort of a victim in this.
Oh, for years, people stood by while these people assaulted us verbally and all types of stuff. Grant Smith, you know, who just made all types of lies and that you know, she didn't deserve and that weren't founded. And you know, so this type of verbal thing has been going on for years. But what happens once people go verbal and then they look at you, they escalate to what? This is physical. And this is very alarming because I see the same type of thing. I see the same type of people. I see Shailene Title in New York. You know, she's being paid to advise the OCM. I see Joey Gilmore in New York. That's the best friend of David. Are they going to be trying to start this type of physical war in New York? Because I'm going to be in New York. I'm going to be operating in New York. That's where I got my first arrest. That's like my holy grail, New York. So I'm going to be in New York Cannabis, Long Island to be specific. But these type of proxy wars with equity people, I find there's a hidden hand, and I find these people behind it, pushing this type of violence. So if somebody who went through it like myself speaks up against whoever, you know, is the most popular equity people, are they going to resort to violence? Are they going to be looking for Bloods and Crips to be fighting each other for equity positions in cannabis? So I think this is a bigger thing. I actually have a book coming out about this. I'm going to drop it in like the next 3 weeks. And you can have me on, we can talk about it. But I'm in the next 3 weeks, I'm going to be talking more in depth than just what's seen on the surface with this fight.
I'd love to read your book, man, because you've got a lot of great information. And you know, it sounds like you were trained in private investigations a little bit.
Yeah, but just having an investigative mind and just, I guess, being arrested a whole bunch of times. being arrested a whole bunch of times, and you know, that the course I took at Gwinnett Tech, they have accredited courses now. But when I was there, it wasn't accredited. But just the courses in the private investigations and criminal justice. Criminal justice is an ongoing study. So once you know how to read legalese, and once you get down to what things are about, cases are, you know, all over the places. And, you know, I wouldn't say I'm fortunate enough to practice on myself, but, you know, I find myself in situations where I have to defend myself, you know, in court.
Yeah. Can I ask you, man? This is a weird question, and you don't have to answer this if you don't want to. But the incident at NECAN, I watched the video. It looked like that man put his hands on you first. And, it looked like you were defending yourself. And it also looked like Mark Shepard owes me an apology. But, I'd love to just like dig into that a little bit, because it seems like Grant said to the police that he broke up the fight. And I didn't see any pasty white men breaking up fights.
Yeah, that's not true. Grant said there was a whole fight outside of the building. That's a lie. What happened was David and Harry followed me out the building in their entourage. Followed me out the building. Harry was still, hurling threats. There were tons of people outside. Harry was still hurling threats at me. I walked across the street and I left by my car and left. Another couple, Sia and Leah Samora, walked up, and then Harry and David and whoever got into some type of they tried to jump on them. Like, it's just horrible. Like, these dudes, I don't know where they follow me from, but the video should show, we deserve that. Everybody deserves to see where these individuals came from. But if these dudes were outside, followed me inside, then follow me back outside, then attack somebody else, dude. It just shows the full circle of what's going on. I don't even have to defend, myself and my actions once people see how predatory they were. And then there's other reports coming out that these individuals were actually paid to attack me. So
really, that's crazy, because I was kicked out of Nikan by Mark Shepard for some similar. He was like, "Oh, you're going to cause a problem," and then I see you getting attacked, and that really bothered me, man.
Yeah. So
go ahead.
Yeah, hopefully Mark won't have these individuals there anymore. Grant or Harry or David or these big hope individuals, but they seem to be being rewarded for their actions. They're doing something. They're doing an event with Shailene and Red Clinics and others on the 14th.
Can you tell us about Big Hope, please?
I don't know much about them. So what happened? The origin of Big Hope, we were being attacked by MRCC. My wife and I, we did our investigations, and these individuals were funded by the CCC. So my wife has status, and I has equity status also. So we were being attacked by a group that was being funded by the CCC. We brought that to their attention. It was a big thing at the time. MRCC was big. It was extremely powerful, but it was being ran by individuals.
Can you tell us what MRCC stands for?
Massachusetts Recreational Consumer Council.
Thank you.
Yeah, so at the time it was being ran by Joey Gilmore. Right now it's no longer being ran by Joey Gilmore. It's being ran by Saskia. So, whatever their paradigm is, that's what it is. But at the time, the violence and stuff was being directed by Joey Gilmore. They had at the time, they had a real strong following in the community. And we pointed that out to the CCC. They're using their power. They're using the platform that the Cannabis Control Commission gave them to attack people and attack equity people in the equity program. So it's even deeper than that. I'm going to talk about that in my book. Actually, some the individuals behind funding these individuals and creating these wars.
How do you feel about that, man? I mean, I'm assuming as equity people, you're talking about being a black man. And I'm curious.
I'm actually talking about the status. So the equity status is more than just black folks. It's any folks who met that criteria. So it could be anybody pretty much arrested for weed and lived in disproportionate neighborhoods. So I don't know. Is it predominantly black? Well, I think half of the equity program is black, maybe.
No, I think you're probably right.
Yeah. Yeah, so I mean, it's just overall it's disheartening, and it's disheartening, and legalization, it just screams more the reason why, we need federal legalization, and because this other stuff is just a lot of it is criminal.
Yeah, I'm with you there. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, it's really criminal. You have espionage, you have corporate espionage, you have industrial espionage. There's no other place where you can, work for a liquor company and then hand out liquor licenses. You can't do that in any other thing, and that's just kind of what's being done. We pointed that out, and everybody got mad, and that's why the physical attacks coming. But I don't want to talk too much because I want to save some for the book. Save it for the book. Yeah. But it's all good.
I was just upset to see it sort of get attacked at a knee cannon. That was kind of disgusting to me, and I hope that works out well in your favor later.
Yeah, you know what? Things can happen anywhere. The thing that's disgusting to me is these individuals who came at me like this are trying to get me arrested and taken from my family. I don't think that's disgusting to me. Trying to get me arrested, and take me from my family for something that you did. You did this, but you're pushing, a narrative to the courts, and it's just being pushed along. And the district attorney, I'm looking at her like, okay, you don't have this. Do you have Attorney Sherilyn Powell's statement? Oh no, I don't have that. You should look at the statement of this attorney. She was there, and why didn't the Boston police put that in the statement? Yeah.
Why didn't they run her statement? Yeah.
That's one of my things. Like I said, I've been writing reports for years. One of the things, you'll get fired if you don't know how to write a good report as a security guard. So as a security guard, I was expected to write a report that could be used in court if it needed to be. But the Boston police, they write these sloppy reports, dude, and it's gotten me like they did like two whatever judgments or whatever. Like, people are looking at this, and I'm being looked at as like a monster. Guy tried to stab somebody and he's talking about shooting things up, and then they see me, they're like, oh, he's a thug, and then they just push it forward. So I'm doing what I need to do. I contacted the attorney general, because I'm going to get justice. Nobody's going to rob me of my justice. Everybody has somebody they got to answer to, even if I got to go to the higher courts of the land.
Okay. I want to transition here a little bit to the Colorado 6. And I'm kind of glad that you worded it that way in your emails to me, because I really believe that this is the best story in cannabis right here, honestly. So yeah, I'd like maybe if you start at the beginning and carry us to right now.
You know what? When I wrote that, I was naive. I was, but it's happening everywhere. It's almost not fair to just talk about this small little group, because they are small. They're in a couple of states, but they're not the only ones operating like this. But yeah, the Colorado 6 is who we identified, who had created the funnel in Massachusetts to get into our state. So people who are in our state paying taxes, like RMDs, registered medical dispensaries, they were able to open up during the first 2 years or so of equity, because they created a moratorium where, in order to make our industry more equitable, these individuals with equity status would open up, and they would be the only ones allowed to open up, along with this small number of RMDs. What the Colorado 6 did, they came in, wrote on our legislation. They put their people on our cannabis control commission, and it wasn't just Shailene Title. All of the commissioners voted in this way, and all of the commissioners had to acquiesce to this illegal status that they gave these MSOs, these multi-state operators. I'm not anti-multi-state operator. My goal is to be an MSO myself. My goal is to operate in multiple states.
You did mention that in our phone call.
Yeah. Yeah, but I don't think it's fair that MSOs come in and try to get it first from the people who have a status in that state. You understand me? My status in New York is my arrest there. You know, I feel like I want a cannabis license in every state I was arrested for cannabis. So I'm coming to Ohio too, baby. You understand? I'm coming to Ohio to get my licenses, Ohio. You understand me? But yeah, you know, that's my goal. Every state that I was arrested in for cannabis, you know, I want a license there. You know, I want to operate there, and I am gonna do that.
Could you tell us why you were arrested, Maur?
In Ohio?
In every state? I don't care. But yeah, I am curious.
So Ohio, I had $60,000 worth of concentrates with me. I was coming driving through Ohio, and a cop saw a black man and pulled me over, and that's how I got that charge thrown out. It was a pretentious stop. It was a pretentious stop. There was literally no reason for them to pull me over. I was driving impeccably. You understand me? So I stood on the law. I stood on the law. You understand me? I drew up my own case. My lawyer, who I paid, told me to take the 3 years that the judge that the DA was offering me. The judge gave me this long speech about why I should take the 3 years, because if I get found guilty, then he's going to give me add +3 to the mandatory. So it was like 10 years was the mandatory or something like that for the charge they was charging me with. That was crazy experience. They held me for 5 days without charging me. I think they tried to drug me in there. They put me in a cell with white supremacists. It was so many white supremacists in there that they was fighting amongst themselves. You had the Irish white supremacists, you had this group of white supremacists, you had these different groups of white supremacists, right? And I'm just cool as hell. Everybody loves me, dude. So they like, yo, what you in here for? And I'm just like, I'm in here for weed. They was like, yeah, get out of here. They looked at my paperwork. They was like, what? He was like, yo, I'm in here. So they started telling me all their charges, and we just started talking, and I actually made friends, dude. Because I wasn't eating, I was fasting. I was giving them of my food. They would give me paper. I just made cool ass friends, dude. They gave me their fruit. I gave them my food. I think the officers were trying to drug me with the juices and stuff, so I didn't drink the juices. But you know, it was cool as a fan, dude. You know, this was in Ohio. This was in Pebblebrook, Ohio. So the population is like less than 1% black. You understand?
Yeah,
so,
that's like Vermont. It's very much where I grew up.
Yeah, so just driving through there, you know, you can get pulled over. So the judge, yeah, so after the judge saw the video, which my attorney didn't even have prepared, and he got like the judge chewed him out and stuff, and I was just like, oh my gosh, what are you doing, man? I'm about to get 3 years, you know. So that was I think that was in 2015, and then in 2015 I was also arrested in Massachusetts for sale to an undercover cop, a Boston police officer, and I think that's where this type of treatment from Boston is coming from. You know, I think because I was acquitted, that was thrown out. I sold an undercover police officer, you know, pursued me in my community for a couple of weeks, telling me sad stories about himself and his wife and his kids leaving him. So at the time in Massachusetts, if you had a caregiver's license, you could serve people who had these temporary medical licenses. You couldn't serve anybody else who didn't have these medical licenses. You could gift them and stuff. So I was doing that little gifting stuff. I ended up dealing with this cop who's such an awesome dude, called me to a child park. Such an amazing guy, calls me to a child park just so he can get the charges up. So if I'm crazy and I'm coming with a gun or something else, and I'm coming to a child's park and we have a bad drug deal and I'm shooting up the park, the cop put everybody there in danger. You understand me? So I'm lucky that's not my character and that's not what I'm about. It was cannabis. But that's just the horrific things that these were Black and Latino officers. You know, these were Black and Latino officers.
So you got busted by Black and Latino officers.
Yeah. there's a black dude acting as an undercover, looking all messed up, coming to me with a bike, you know, telling me sad stories. You know, it was like entrapment.
That's how do you feel about that more?
I'm good. You know, it looking back at when I was 14 years old, looking back at those arrests, and you know, looking back at what I can say my arrests were now today. You know, people say I'm privileged because I can say I got legacy arrest, and that's cool right now in this space. But I wasn't privileged at the time. You understand me? With the sale to the undercover cop, and you know, Ohio, and it was just something that I was going to be a part of regardless. I was going to be a part of this cannabis thing regardless. You know, I started guerrilla growing in 2008 and hustling, you know, and your freedom is always, you know, at risk. But, you know, I just look back and I feel privileged. I never had to do any time. And I had some crazy charges. You know, I just feel privileged. That's why I speak so strongly for my friends who never, and anybody else, and people being affected all over the place, who aren't so privileged, dude. They gave a dude 3 years just for, like, you know, a stolen backpack. And I've had some crazy charges, and I haven't ever had to do no time, you know, and it's made me sharper, to understand law, to understand contracts, to understand legalese. All of these things have been for some reason. So even though you might not see it right now, everything is for the good. Everything is happening to prepare you for something else even better.
Oh, and you have some background in private investigations.
Yeah, so private investigation, my background in private investigation was I guess sitting on construction sites and sitting in cars, sitting in apartment complexes and stuff. And it was just pretty much an extension of my security. But I think the information and the wisdom and the knowledge that I learned in school and tied to what I did, you know, getting arrested and such, attributed to that. And I think, you know, in terms of, you see the work that I did with the Colorado 6 and everything else, I think, I think I could be a self-proclaimed, you know, investigator of some sort, you know, but my extent of, I guess, private investigations was doing security work.
Yo, you tell us a little bit,
and doing CCTV, doing loss prevention stuff. So,
will you tell us a little bit about Vicente Cederberg, please?
So they're a law firm. You know, I don't know too much about them in that respect. They're a law firm. You know, they're doing so my wife, so during the melee, during the Colorado 6 things, you know, because everybody has, you know, can say what's wrong, but nobody, you know, what's the use of saying what's wrong if you don't have no solutions? So we presented to Vicente Cederberg, Forefront Ventures, Shailene title, the Colorado 6. We presented him our program called the PIES program, and Pairing Incubator Excel Seed. And this was a way for MSOs to come correct. To me, I think it's a program that'll work nationally, because I don't believe in stopping nobody from doing business, but we got to do right business. You understand me? So yeah, Vicente Cederberg is a part of that group of individuals, and you'll see them in multiple states. Their law firm act as a liaison for multi-state operators. In Massachusetts, they were able to acquire ACAs, just like other groups were, you know, an enormous amount of ACAs, you know, 80 plus ACAs. And a host community, ACA is a host community agreement. Host community agreement is where you're allowed to sell weed at. So these guys come in and get up the property where you're allowed to sell weed at. And hey, let me write on your legislation because you guys don't know anything. Let me help you guys out. I have you know, I got expertise in this other state, Colorado. So that's how the game goes. But it's not just these guys, and these guys are small comparatively to what's going on. But it's the national hustle, you know. And you understand me? I don't know. I got thrust into this position of being an activist because there's not many Black people in this space. But I'm a hustler, I'm a grinder, I'm a businessman. You understand me? But I'm also going to speak. This is, of course, this hits home with me. This was been going on with me since I was 14 years old. And to be in this privileged position, I have no problem speaking up. I don't get paid to speak up. A lot of these activists do. And that's the issue that we're having in the community. We can't really look to people to make change who had a job. You had a job, so you can't really look to make change. So,
can I ask how you got into that position in Massachusetts?
How did I get into what?
Well, you got the energy drinks. I'd like to give you a minute to plug the fucking energy drinks too, because I'm curious how that process goes in Massachusetts.
Yeah, Massachusetts specifically, because it does go different in other places. Some places I've been able to get to offer to be able to produce a product there if I just come in and pay. Massachusetts, I don't know how it works with everybody else. How it worked with me was I hit up companies. I just kept hitting companies up, and I had a plan. I hit them up with a plan and a contract and things that I wanted and how things I wanted to look. So just being proactive, the hustling mind state, like, okay, here's an opportunity. I have a status. Let me see what I can do with this status. And just pushing it to the max, dude. Like, this is so me. This industry is so me. I just have an entitlement to it, So I, looking back, I'm like, oh wow, that might look like a lot of hard work, but in the present, I don't feel like it. But yeah, so that's how I got it, just hustling, hitting companies up. I told my story. I wrote a book called Massachusetts Jumping Jim Crow for Cannabis. So that's my advice to those who actually have lived this story. Tell your story, because we are the front runners. We are the heroes in this legal cannabis industry. And if they don't make right by us, they don't deserve to be open. You understand me? They don't deserve to be open.
Could you tell us a little bit about the book without exposing all of the good stuff?
Well, oddly enough, if you go to Amazon, they'll let you read like 14 pages of it. So it's called Massachusetts. Yeah, like I got to change that because But yeah. But so yeah, that's the. I just detail my arrest. I detail my story. I detail how I see at the time what was going on. I actually have probably 2 more versions of it. Sequels to the book, to that one, Massachusetts Jumping Jim Crow for Cannabis, part 1, 2, 3. But that's where I left it at right there. Like I said, I'm going to have a book I'm finishing for this particular story and situation to kind of uncover this. But that's kind of been my position as an investigator, in this industry, I guess,
Yeah, and your notes are very fucking detailed, man. I'm not gonna lie. I take a lot of good notes, but when you sent me your notes, I was like, wow, this fucking guy.
Well, that's my wife. She's actually a paralegal to my other half. She's not really a paralegal. No, she's not really a paralegal, but she's I mean, that's what we've been doing. Her background is in real estate, so understanding contracts and such like that. And she's an educator, so we've been studying law together, on this journey, I guess, ever since we met.
Wow. Oh, no shit. Here, I'm going to read a comment. It's from my man, Lou Rinaldi. Very telling. When a person on social media won't renounce Vicente MPP forefront. And I got another half hour here for you, and I was really hoping we could talk about some of that shit.
When I won't renounce them?
What? No, I don't think he meant that for you. I think that was for someone else. Lou is one of my very good friends, and I promise he's not talking about you.
Yeah, because I don't have no dealing with them. I renounce them if that's what you need me to do.
Yeah, no.
I don't even fully know what that means, renounce, but I guess,
It does seem like there's a connection with Chris Crane. And
Yeah, forefront ventures, but like I said, I'm open to. I haven't said, but I'm gonna say I'm open to do business with anybody. You know, the people who I thought were villains, I'm looking around, and that's what the norm is. So, you know, I'm gonna, you know, do my thing. I'm gonna hustle. I'm gonna grind. I haven't spoken to anybody from Vicente Sederberg. I haven't spoken to anybody from Forefront Ventures. I don't need to, you know, but everybody's connected. You know, people talk about Rev Clinics. Rev Clinics wholesales to 85% of the industry in Massachusetts. So, and then Grant talks about Rev Clinics, but Harry and David are being sponsored by Rev Clinics. So what you'll find, like that's why I say my naivete, I didn't know what was going on, but now I know what's going on. Everybody's connected. You know, the state has to allow these individuals to come in and do what they want to do. You know, so we can look at Vicente Sederberg at Forefront, but they have an origin. Our state allowed that, and you know, it's just what it is. You know, this it's not federally regulated, so it's like the wild wild west.
Can you talk about Harry and David a little bit?
I don't know too much about them. So Harry was the cameraman for MRCC, and David is Harry's big brother. David and Joey Gilmore are friends. You know, these dudes were in the grand scheme of things were really irrelevant to me. So what I was going to say earlier when you asked me about Big Hope was I called Joey Gilmore out for having Harry and David them following him around and not actually showing black people how to start their own org. So when I said that he wasn't showing black people how to start their own nonprofit and stuff, they started they helped Harry and them start I guess Big Hope, you know, but you know, they're not doing anything other than everybody else is doing. I'm not hating on nobody. Big Hope is out there, you know, standing at like gatekeepers over funds that probably should go directly to the people who were harmed. But that's what a lot of these groups, these cannabis groups are doing. So those black men aren't doing nothing different than all of these other groups doing. But you know, the hate, you know, came at me from them, and whatever, you know, to me they're irrelevant. I'm looking at, and as you can see my notes, I've identified, you know, some key players who are behind these guys.
Yo, and I'm just really curious about this shit with Grant, because you know, Grant has run his mouth a good deal about what happened, and I watched the video, man, and it seems like what happened was that it seems like what happened from my viewing of the video was that someone laid their hands on you first, and you were defending yourself. And then it also seems like Grant made a false statement to the police in Massachusetts.
A lot of things happened in that video that people can't see. So from the witnesses there, it looked like they tried to throw me over the balcony. He was actually threatening to throw me over the balcony at the time. It didn't look like it because I was so good at defending it, and I made it look probably easy. But dude, I could have been hurt really bad. They ripped my hair out, man. This 13 years in the making of hair out my head.
And that's your dreadlock, huh?
Yeah, so this is about
several locks. I saw that. Yeah. Sorry to interrupt you, but I saw that, and that was fucking horrific, dude.
Yeah, dude, it was a messed up situation, and plus, like, I want to have a better perception about myself out here. People already looking at me in a certain kind of way in this space. I felt embarrassed, honestly, to tell you the truth, to have to be in that type of situation like that. I have no problem fighting. I spar. You can come meet me and we can spar. I like to spar in a controlled environment because that's the type of fighting I've been doing my life, you know, in a controlled environment, you know. And I've also had street fights, plenty of those, but a controlled environment. I'm an athlete, you know. So I felt, you know, mortified to be in that type of situation. And then for everybody to be told before the video came out, these guys were telling a story, and that story was most prevalent. And you know, because they're the most popular, they got all the people, just like because a lot of people from MRCC pretty much defected from support and gives it to Big Hope. But you know, I don't care what these individuals do. It's just a big thing of hate. And Grant, to tell police that I had a gun, I was going to shoot up the place. He tried to get me killed. Like, these are serious charges that he's saying. That's a terroristic threat. When somebody threatens to shoot up
the police came to your house. Is that true?
Yeah, police came to my house twice to serve me with orders of protection from Harry and David, the people who followed me in and out the building.
Wow. And you know, I'm super white, so I'm going to tell you that that's not fun when it happens to me. And I can imagine as a black man, that's probably not amazing to have police show up to your house.
No, not at all. Or even somebody saying, police, he has a knife, police, he has a knife. Because in the video, you see actually Harry grabs the police arm, cop arm, and was like, police, he has a knife, police, he has a knife. And everybody's like, where? I don't see one. So it was just like extreme hate and just confusion on their part. They came at me aggressive, Harry bumping me, threatening to hurt me, threatening to kill me, actually trying to do it, and then running over and saying, police. And the witness, attorney Sherilyn Powell, this is her statement. This is how, you know, this is what she reported happened. They came over aggressive and ran away, calling for police.
And that was the woman that was walking with you during that video.
Yeah.
Which I saw. I've watched that a few times, and it sure looked to me like that dude put his hands on you first, and you were defending yourself.
And he put his hands on her. Harry put his hands on her. He actually grabbed her and then put his arm in front of her, pushing her back. She said in her statement she felt scared. She didn't know what was going on, so she moved out of there. Son, I'm doing verbatim.
Why do you think the media didn't run that statement? So,
like I said, or maybe I haven't said, you know, in my report to the Attorney General, these people are heavily connected. You know, heavily connected. Media, clerk's office, judges.
Do you feel like that's why they came after you and maybe not the other guys who were look, Grant said he broke up the fight, right? I saw that statement. And I watched the video and Grant was not there.
Yeah, well, so this is not an isolated event. Harry and David have actually come at other people, threatening, aggressively, demanding. Actually, Rev clinics, not just the small people. Keith Cooper told me that Joey Gilmore and Harry and them came to get money from him, and when he said he wasn't going to give them money, they started banging on them publicly. So now Rev Clinics is giving them money, you know, just to stop them from threatening them and stuff. It's a shakedown thing. They shaking people down, you know, and they just needed me. They just needed, I guess, to impress everybody and bully me around and do something to me to show everybody that I wasn't nothing or something. It's just a horrible situation to be put in. And then now they're trying to come after my livelihood, come after, you know, my stores and stuff that I'm in.
And didn't you say there was some sort of connection between the Massachusetts Cannabis Control Commission and Big Hope or something like that?
Oh, absolutely. Massachusetts, the Cannabis Control Commission is directing people to pay them. You know, so we have this thing called the positive impact plans, and it's supposed to be funding set aside for people to do some good for people harmed by the war on drugs. So all of these equity people. I'm talking about people in Massachusetts with equity status, social equity and economic power status. We should be getting those funds directly, but instead they're nonprofits extrapolating those funds. And MRCC 2.0, Big Hope, is the group that the CCC is directing licensed business owners to pay. If they don't have Big Hope on their PIPs or something, then the CCC in many cases won't approve it. And then people ask for some guidance as to what they should do. They say, "Oh, go give money to Big Hope." So this is the type of way that the Cannabis Control Commission will sponsor a activist group. You understand me? If you're doing right by us, hey, we'll make sure when you're on these licenses applications, we'll push you forward. If you don't have these guys, we'll suggest that you get these guys. So and then that's the type of bullying. That's the type of power they got right now. The CCC should not accept any licenses with MRC with Big Hope on them. These groups attacking people, put their hands on a woman. You understand me? The CCC should not accept any licenses with these individuals on application. By accepting licenses with these dudes on the application, you're supporting violence. Not just me, against several other cannabis owners who have complained about these groups.
Mm-hmm. And it was upsetting to me because I got kicked out of NECAN in Boston as well. Because some guy Mark was worried that I would be a problem. And then meanwhile, you're getting attacked, which we saw very clearly on the footage.
Yeah. And the behavior of Grant Smith, he put my family's address online and everything else. It's just, he's been salivating at the mouth ever since the beginning of this. But like I said, I know criminal justice. You can't start the story from wherever you want to start the story from. You mean to tell me you're not going to charge these individuals? You're not going to charge Harry and David?
He tried to dox you.
He tried to what?
Dox you. He put your home address on the internet.
Yep.
Wow.
Yep.
Yeah, that's doxing.
He put my license plate and stuff on the internet.
Wow, your license plate and shit.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
And can I ask you, how long have you known Grant Smith Ellis?
I guess the first time I met Grant was when I did a show with him and the Young Jerks, Mike Crawford, and I did an interview with him there. And that's the first time I met Grant. But at the time, he was on MRCC's side, I guess, and I had an opposing view at the time also. But he had my phone number. He had all my information. But when my wife did this report called the Massachusetts Social Equity Report, after she did that report, he started publicly attacking her and me.
Why?
He felt intimidated. There were rumors, I guess, buzzing around that my wife was going to be running to be a commissioner or something, which wasn't true.
Is this the PIES program?
Well, so they also attacked that while we put the PIES program out, which is a program to help you so you can have 100% ownership of your business. They told MRCC and Grant and everybody were telling everybody we were pushing a 10% deal. So they had the influence at the time. They were given this platform just by doing work with the CCC, and the CCC had sponsored this group. So, hey, they had the platform. So anything they said goes. They just didn't have any solutions, and they were tapered in what they would talk about, because of, I guess, their leading position.
Can you tell us what PIES stands for, please?
Pairing, Incubator, Excel, Seed.
Go.
So Pairing, Incubator, Excel, Seed.
Yeah, and it sounds like I've spoken to a couple other people in different states where it sounds like their idea was also stolen by certain people.
Yeah, so that was one of the things I think Vicente Sederberg did, or Forefront. I can't remember which one of them, but they actually took the program and did it with somebody else. They took the PIES program and tried to do it with somebody else. They met with difficulty because even though we put it out there and explained to people what it was, there was definitely key components of the program that was left to us that we kept exclusive, that we didn't put out there, and you need those key components to make it successful.
Mm. And I've spoken to a couple of the Massachusetts regulators, And I got to ask you, man, how does it feel to sort of have one of your ideas hijacked like that?
I mean, it's horrible. You understand me? But you learn, you get smarter and figure out how to protect your stuff and your ideas. You would think, there would be some type of something going on with people who respect and honor it, because it's not many Black people putting out ideas or ideas around this space. But a lot of stuff, actually, a lot of things that we put out there were taken, but in the spirit of moving the needle forward in equity, and somebody else being able to move forward, based off of some language or stuff that we did out there, that's, to me, that's all good.
Do you feel like the social equity is really helping the people who are negatively impacted by the war on drugs?
Oh, it's plotted on. It's plotted on. I think I love the concept. I love the concept, but it's not. It's not, because it's plotted on, and they got people fighting each other. It's like every Black person standing next to Grant Smith, it was like they had to attack us. They were attacking us. It was like, I don't know where he was finding these folks. Many of them, a couple of them had been to our house. We knew them, but just the allure of getting into the industry and being so whatever, they sided with this individual Grant, and he really had no solutions for anything outside of home grow. He had no solutions for equity or social equity, but to see equity people following this dude when we were actually in the program and had something to benefit off of doing something successful. We were attacked by a lot of individuals because of Grant, because of MRCC. Joey Gilmore's up with MRCC, and Shakti title was very popular. She was the social justice chair. So these were the leaders, and the fact that we had an idea, it was intimidating.
You mentioned a name in there that I'd like to ask you more about, which was Shalene Title.
Yeah. She was a part of the Colorado Six. She was she started out with SSDP with Chris Crane, Students for Sensible Drug Policy. That's an international activist group. They get these college students, and everybody gets riled up and excited and heightened behind legalization, which is happening kind of organically, for the most part anyway. But they come to these states that have medical things going on, and they get with the local college students, the SSDP, and they get them all riled up behind legalization. And these kids don't have the depth. They haven't lived through mass incarceration. Many of them don't even have legacy charges. So putting people at the helm of solutions who didn't experience, and most of these groups are just talking loud. They just become these activist groups yelling about what the problem is, but no solutions. And that's what we experienced in Massachusetts. But yeah, Shalene, college. Chris Crane got out of college, or met her in college. She was in his Students for Sensible Drug Policy, and then she went and worked for Deloitte over there, where they was doing espionage and all that type of stuff going over there. She worked for Deloitte.
I love you, Maur. Sorry to interrupt. Sorry to interrupt you. Carry on, sir.
Yeah, she worked at Deloitte at the height of their espionage, and stuff that they were doing, things that were questionable in other business practices. And somehow she got into cannabis in Colorado, and Colorado legalized. I think they had at one point they had 700 licenses, and only one of them was somebody Black. So her concept of Black people being in the industry or having a part of it, at what point did she get that? And for her to come to Massachusetts and sit on the social justice chair, after, and so she worked for Forefront Ventures for a while, and then she went in Chris Crane. How we found her and we tied her to Chris Crane was he actually put her on his application as a co-founder of Forefront Ventures. So all the information that I presented was public information. It was stuff that I found and that real investigators needed to go and delve deeper in. But I did,
So Shailene was a co-founder of Forefront Ventures or whatever.
That's what it says on his application, that she was a co-founder. She said that she wasn't or whatever. But on his application in Massachusetts, he listed her as a co-founder. It was enough to ask questions about that. How could you work with Forefront Ventures and Vicente Sederberg and then sit on the CCC chair? And then all of a sudden we have these licenses coming out of nowhere from out of state. And lo and behold, Chris Crane advertises himself as a multi-state operator liaison. So he specializes in learning legislation and stuff from new states and helping other cannabis operators get into that state.
Huh. Interesting.
Yeah, but like I said, these small guys, man. They got real popular. They made money in Massachusetts, but the game has been going, and they've been people doing this. That's what they're doing all over the place. The same thing. They're getting in on the legislation. They're, getting in with the local government. They're getting all the cannabis property that's been allocated. They're, they're working their way in. So you just kind of got to figure out how you fit in, and you got to hustle. That's why I'm like, oh, okay, that's how you. So now it's like, all right, maybe I'll work with Chris Crane. I'll work with Vicente Sederberg. Everybody's doing it, it's all being done, so.
Yo, and from what I understand, Christian Sederberg was very high up in the Obama campaign.
Oh yeah. So yeah, I didn't really go deep into his background left too much. My passion was this lady sitting on the social justice chair. That was like the biggest rub in my face, like, dude, this was for us. And, she was up there fronting like she was for, those harmed, but she wasn't. She was very dismissive. Shailene title was heavy, moving toward women and what women wanted in the space. And that's cool. But mass incarceration happened to Black men predominantly. So, Black men definitely, if you're going to lift up women not being in this space, you definitely need to be lifting up Black men at the same time, because we're not in this space. It's predominantly white men. Yeah. So that was my issue. And it made me look even more. She was very dismissive, when she should be like, oh, somebody like me, let me grab onto him because he can be a voice for what I want done, the change that I want done. I'm genuine, I'm a genuine individual. I don't play games. And, she was playing games. So I'm like, she ain't really for this stuff. That's what made me look at it and see what was going on with that.
You don't seem like a game player.
Yeah, when I do play, I play all the time. My children think I'm a big joke.
Yeah, but that's with kids. I've watched some of the videos that were posted from Mike Crawford and some of the stuff that happened from Nikan, and you don't seem like you fuck around a lot.
Yeah, I'm a real serious individual. I got real serious trauma. Like, dude, I don't put my hands on nobody. Dude, if we're having a verbal argument, then that's what we're gonna have, a verbal argument. Because I'm trained in so many different things, I'm already gonna be the problem. I'm already gonna be the issue if something happens legally. I'm perfectly fine with keeping it verbal, keeping a verbal argument verbal. You know what I'm saying? But you're not gonna be pushing me. You're not gonna be all of that. You're not gonna be threatening my life. Right. And he did grab me, and they did grab me before I threw one punch. But it's really unfair. It's not fair to ask somebody to wait to somebody to physically hit you when they're in front of you, threatening you and stuff like that. That's for everybody else. Myself, I'm trained. You can see my hands down the whole time. My hands were in my pocket. Mm-hmm. My hands were in my pocket before he grabbed me. So, and that's just kind of what you have to do when you're like a trained individual. You have to. You're not. Well, first of all, we know we're not even looking for that type of aggression. We can get that any day we want if we go into the gym and spar, and I can get all that extra out anytime I want. So,
Yeah, you look like the wrong guy to fight. If I'm being honest.
Yeah, I mean, like, dude, man, maybe I'm thrown off because I got all this hair, so people think, somebody asked me, how do I fight with this hair? I'm like, I don't know what you mean. I'm just gonna fight. I don't know. I don't know. So, it was just an unfortunate situation to be put in. It's not the type of light that you want to be put on in this space. You want to have a good light put on you. I don't want violence attached to my name in this industry. People thinking, oh, he's going to come to this event and get violent, and that's how they put it out there. They put it out there like I attacked them, like these,
Look, I watched the video, and that guy clearly put his hands on you first.
Yeah.
From what I saw, allegedly.
Yeah.
And honestly, I thought you were well within your rights to defend yourself there. That was bullshit. I was kind of pissed that I got kicked out of Nikan. Also, and he was like, "Oh, you might be a problem." Meanwhile, you're having fights at your event.
Yeah. And so I hope we got to cut it. We actually I'm late for a meeting. I was actually supposed to be there at 1:30. I didn't realize the time went so fast. I guess we started so late. But
let's cut it. Yo, we can cut it here. Yo,
yeah.
If we missed anything,
when I get the book ready, let's do it again.
Yeah, yo, if we missed anything, Maurice, please, or if you have any shameless plugs or shout outs or your Shakti energy drinks, let's do that right now, and then I'll let you go.
Yeah, it's Shakti Green Lit, the first full spectrum cannabis energy shot on the East Coast. Check us out. We in stores in Massachusetts, soon to be in stores in New York. But that's all. Like I said, next 3 weeks I'll have a book. Just really going into detail about a lot of things.
Is that it? Because that's where I'm gonna leave you. I'm gonna. Yo, thank you so much for your time, Maurice.
It was a pleasure. Thank you for having me, man.
Yeah, I really hope we can do this again sometime. And I'm going to sign off with my shameless tagline. The devil is in the details, and the details are in the fine print. Thank you guys for joining me. Maurice, have a lovely afternoon.
Thank you.
Yeah. Peace, man.
Peace.